Welcome back, everybody, to Tanya for Life. We're now in chapter 15. At the end of the last episode, we did a summary. We read over a summary of chapter 15, so you're welcome to look at that again. Now we'll just head into it. So, in the previous chapters, the Alter Rebbe discussed the difference between the Tzaddik and the Beinoni. The tzaddik has no evil inclination, since there is no longer any evil within his soul. Evil, therefore, holds no attraction for him, right? Because like attracts like. However, in the Beinoni, the evil remains strong. The Beinoni finds evil desirable, because there's still a part of within him that desires evil. And it is only through the constant vigilance and struggle of his divine soul that he is able to prevent his animal soul from implementing its desires in thought, speech, and in action. With this distinction in mind, we may understand the verse, and you will return and see the difference between the righteous man and the wicked one, between he who serves God and he who serves him not. That's a pasuk from Malachi. Okay, so the Talmud raises the question, the term righteous man is identical with he who serves God, and the wicked man is obviously he who serves him not. Why then does the text repeat the contrast? In answer, the Talmud states, both he who serves God and he who serves him not are fully righteous. Yet one who reviews his studies 100 times cannot compare to one who reviews his studies 101 times. However, this answer seems to clarify only the second set of seemingly repetitive terms, the wicked man and he who serves him not. Far from being wicked, he who serves him not is so described only because he reviews his Torah studies no more than 100 times. Yet we remain with the difficulty posed by the first set of identical descriptions, the righteous man and he who serves God. In fact, the above quoted Talmudic interpretation of the verse adds yet a third category. Hold on a second. Just give me a minute. Sorry about that. In fact, the above quoted Talmudic interpretation of the verse adds yet a third category. He who serves him not, yet is also righteous. It is this difficulty that the Alter Rebbe now resolves based on his previous distinction between the tzaddik and the Beinoni. The difference between he who serves God, who is known as an Oved Elikim, and a righteous man, is that he who serves God is written in the present tense. It describes one who is still presently laboring in his divine service. Wow. This service consists of the struggle against one's evil nature with the aim of overpowering it and banishing it from the small city, i.e., the body, which is like a city whose conquest is the objective of both the good and the evil nature, so that it should not vest itself in the organs of the body through evil thought, speech, or action. Doing battle against his evil nature is the avodah of he who serves God. This constant battle with one's evil nature truly entails much effort and much service and toil. This is the Beinoni. Okay? It is the Beinoni who must wage this battle. It is the Beinoni who is called he who serves God, for he is actively engaged at present in his service. The tzaddik, on the other hand, is designated a servant of Hashem, Eved Hashem, as a title conferred on the person himself. It is not merely a description of one's active role, as is the designation one who serves. Wow. The term servant is similar to the title sage or king, bestowed on one who has already become a sage or a king. So too, the tzaddik has already effected and completely accomplished his service of waging war with the evil in him. He has banished it, and it is gone from him, leaving the seed of evil nature in his heart void within him. Having completed this task, the tzaddik has earned the title servant of Hashem. We now see that the expressions a righteous man and he who serves God are not repetitious. He who serves God is not a description of a tzaddik. It is a description of a Beinoni. Now the Alter Rebbe goes on to discuss the difference between he who serves God and he who serves him not, who, as the Talmud declares, is not actually wicked. I want to go back a little bit in that because I think it's so beautiful and so important. I really love that distinction. An Eved Hashem is a tzaddik. Why? Because we learned already in our Tanya class from the Alter Rebbe that a tzaddik actually doesn't have a Yetzer Hara, like a evil within him. He doesn't have this evil inclination, this evil attachment, or a desire for evil. Doesn't have any desire for evil. So in our last class, we were talking about the example of Abraham Avinu, a person who's like in service. What does it mean to be in service? It means that actively he's going against his natural impulse, right? That takes real service. That's the service, our avoda in this world. It's the avoda of going against our nature, right? And there's something so high, so holy, so spiritual, and it really connects us with Hashem when we go against our nature. Our nature being the nature in this world, the nature of the animal soul, right? Because when we do that, where it's very hard. It's called doing battle. It's not something easy. And the other side has a very strong strategy systems. They know each one of us specifically. Not everyone has the same Yetzer Hara. Not everyone has the same strategies from the Yetzer Hara to bring them down. One person has more of a weakness with one thing, and another person has more of a weakness with another mitzvah, and another person has a weakness within their own faculties, that the Yetzer Hara really knows, okay, this person has a depressed tendency. I'm going to get them to feel sorry for themselves. I'm going to get them to feel like there's no hope. I'm going to get them to feel so many distractions, so much pressure that they'll just lose focus, and they'll feel like giving up. They'll feel overwhelmed, right? The earth element. So the Yetzer Hara knows you, right? For another person, he wouldn't use the same tactic. The Yetzer Hara for a person who's, I don't know, a fire element, a fiery, angry, restrictive personality, there'll be lots of reasons to be anxious, lots and lots of reasons to be anxious. The Yetzer Hara will get inside our head in that way, and the mind will be running and running and running, and whatever, looking towards the future all the time, trying to figure out what's going to happen, how do I best prepare, lose focus on the present, right? Whatever it is, there are so many ways that the Yetzer Hara can bring us down. An especially good one is taking us when we think we're doing good, right? Making us think that we're doing the right thing, that confusion. And earlier we were talking about doubt. Right before the class started recording, we were talking about doubt, safek, but there's also, and we were talking about also enlightenment. And one beautiful, beautiful thing that I heard Gedali Fenster talks about a lot is the ultimate, one of the most painful things in this world is when we don't understand. We can be suffering. Of course, it's like we can be suffering, and suffering is painful. But if we know why we're suffering, and if we have meaning throughout it, and we have that focus on what we are working on, it just, that the suffering is here to make me stronger. And I really feel it. It's not just words intellectualized, it's words fully integrated within me, integrated within this painful experience I'm going through. That's something different. Then there's light, and then you reach, and bringing the Torah into that, especially when we're in the pain and we're pulling to Hashem and saying, Hashem, I don't know, I'm completely I don't know, I don't understand. Closing my eyes and saying, Hashem, please teach me your ways. What do you want? What am I here for? How can I be of service to you? How can I understand this and, move forward as your servant? And like really focusing your Torah learning on these specific topics that you're dealing with in your life, that will really help you to, really pull in and drag in and immerse with Hashem's higher intellect, the intellect that goes beyond your brain. Because it's very easy to get stuck in this world. It's so easy, especially for someone who has very big capacity for intellect. We can start like really intellectualizing, rationalizing, trying to figure out what's the solution, what's the answer, what are what brought me here, what were my wrong steps, and the cause and effect, and how do I work back up the line and reach that formula to get to the end that I want, the result that I want. That doesn't work. It really, I tell you from my experience, it really doesn't work. And that's another great way that the Yetzer Hara uses the capacity of the neshama that they're working with. This neshama is very intellectual, has a very big intellectual capacity. That makes it great for connecting with Hashem. It really makes it great with like revealing Hashem in their world. But they have to really learn to accept that nothing gets received, like nothing, there are no answers until Hashem decides now is an answer, or now you're ready, or you're doing the things to allow me to consume you, allow Hashem to consume your brain. And just like that beautiful teaching Miriam talks about from the Rebbe or the Alter Rebbe, I don't remember, is that the way of the world is when we eat, we elevate, right? Every action in this world causes elevation. Specifically when you can see when the minerals get consumed by the animals, by the vegetables get consumed by the animals get consumed by humans, but humans also consume all the others. They consume the vegetable and the mineral life, right? And when each thing gets consumed by something higher than it elevates to a higher level. So for a human, if we're at the top of the food chain, who's consuming us? Who's elevating us? Because we are so not perfect and we have so much to work on. So how do we get consumed and elevated? So the way one gets consumed and elevated, I'm sure we talked about it earlier in one of the earlier chapters, is through our learning Torah. Because through our learning Torah, we're allowing Hashem to, we're allowing ourselves to be within the grasp of Hashem, within the embrace, totally consumed and totally surrounded by Hashem, which is consumption. When you're consuming something, you're surrounded by, that thing is surrounded by you. There's nothing else outside of it but you. Same thing, when we're learning Torah, there's nothing here except Hashem. There's nothing surrounding us, nothing enveloping us except Hashem, except this holy, holy high Kedusha. So how much more so if you're looking for specific Torah Torah that relates to your situation, Torah that you really want to absorb, then it will really help you to have the answers when it's time for you to pick up the answers, when Hashem deems that you're worthy, or this is the right moment. Then you'll have this higher way of seeing things. You'll come from a low point. They call it koach. I don't remember what it's called. There's like a lower level of intellect of the way you're perceiving the world, and then there's a higher one, and the higher one comes from Hashem. Okay, and then that's when you have expanded mind, and the way you saw things were so constricted that this was how you saw it. There was so much pain, so much difficulty. How else can I see it? But then you can have that totally opposite experience where it's the same things. Nothing has changed in the situation, but suddenly you feel like you can breathe, and suddenly you feel more open and expansive, and you feel like everything will be okay. You feel like there are answers. You feel like it's not the end of the world. It's not this tight space. It suddenly feels bigger, and you might be able to look at things in a different way and see, actually, there is a lot of positivity here. What am I gaining from this? What am I able to be giving into this situation, to the people involved? And, like my purpose, why is this happening? Nothing happens for no reason, right? And so getting back to the point of what I was saying is, when you're in this sort of place, it's enlightenment and things make sense. But when you're in a constricted space, then that's like the darkest, that's the darkest hour. And that's the most painful. The most painful is not what we go through, it's how we go through it. And it's that darkness of like not understanding, that confusion. Okay, so the Yetzer Hara really can take us. And these are really things that a Beinoni, B'ezrat Hashem, all of us should really be looking at, because this is what it means to be Oved Hashem, actively serving Hashem, that we are trying to get through to the other side. We're not trying to, we're recognizing that stuckness as part of our nature and trying to get to that higher level by completely nullifying ourselves to Hashem, completely nullifying our natural impulses and responses to something holy, to Kedusha, to our animal soul's conquest over us, our body, our small city, right? And that is called laboring in divine service. It's meant to be easy. It's not something we get just like that. It's not something that only happens once. It's something we have to be laboring at. It's not easy. And that is what identifies a Beinoni as an Oved Elikim, someone who serves Hashem, is actively serving. It's not the same as a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a servant of Hashem. He's a servant of Hashem, not serving Hashem, because he's already reached that level. He's gone through all of this before, and finally he's reached the destination. He doesn't have to be in constant battle with the evil, because he's already done that, waged the war, won, right? And again, we learned before, we can't just decide, Hashem, I want to be a tzaddik. I'm going to keep battling through, and I'm going to get to the end, and I'm going to be a tzaddik, and I won't have any evil inclination. No, that's dangerous. We're Beinoni. We have to always expect that there'll be the evil inclination ready to take us. So we should always be on alert. But no, remember what happens is, when we get to we're doing this consistently, we're trying, we're getting up, we're falling, we're getting up, we're falling, we're getting up, we're falling, we're getting back up, and we don't give up. And then eventually Hashem will decide if and when and who is the right time and place or person for reaching the next level of tzaddik. Not everyone's mission in this world is to reach that level. Okay. And again, like, it's nothing for us to feel bad about, because we're all here doing our specific role. If you remember in maybe chapter 3, I don't remember, in one of the earlier chapters, we were talking about how each neshama of Bnei Israel has a designated role, and we can't all be that. We can't all take one role, because then who will be taking up the rest of action that needs service, that needs the rest of the service that needs action, right? So for example, the tzaddik, he's the head, he's the rosh. He connects us straight to Hashem. Without the tzaddik, we have no clear and faster, direct way of approaching Kedusha, of approaching Hashem, right? Because in this world, it's so tricky. There's so many murky waters. We need the tzaddik to give us that clear direction and that clear connection. We go to a tzaddik when we want extra help, when we want a bracha, we want, all these things. We want to see what we're going through in a different way. We write to the Rebbe, like all these things. We have a Rebbe for a reason. We have Rebbes, tzaddikim, for a reason. And we can't take their place. We're not meant to. But somebody else might have the role of being the back, right? Or the neck, or the fingers, so to speak, that the whole body of Bnei Yisrael needs in order to create a Gan Eden, or a mikdash, or a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. There needs to be everyone with their own role, because without that special neshama doing their service, then and taking up their role of the fingernail, or the mouth, or the back, or the limbs, or whatever it is, your role, if you're not taking up that role and you're not great, you're wanting to be someone else, then the whole, like, each picture, each puzzle piece doesn't fall into place, and we can't have that full service, and we can't have that full beautiful connection, which is Bnei Yisrael. Like, when we're each really staying in our lane. Gedalia says it a lot. Gedalia Fenster, he says, stay in your lane. Don't look at someone else's life and what they're doing and how great their life is, because you don't want their issues. Everyone's life comes with issues. You should be grateful for the issues you have, right? You should be grateful for the role that Hashem chose for you, because it's for you to do. And there's something good for you to do there, something big that can't be replaced by somebody else, right? And Baruch Hashem, we don't have another person's issues. We only see what we see on the outside. We don't really see, we don't feel, we don't know the service that it takes for a person to be doing what they're doing. We don't know what kind of avodah they have to Hashem. Again, for some people it's more severe, for some people it's less severe in different areas, right? Some souls are born with so much ability, so much capacity. That means that they'll have so much Yetzer Hara, and their natural impulse will be so powerful and passionate and, almost unable to resist, right? And that's amazing. That's what makes them amazing, because when they're channeling it for Kedusha, right? So we don't want that. We don't want to take somebody else's life. And so we have this amazing ability to be one who serves Hashem and Oved Hashem, right? Whereas a tzaddik has already reached that title, just like the title of king is bestowed upon a king. It's nothing, they're now known as a king. Same thing as a tzaddik. A tzaddik is known as an Eved Hashem. He's not an Oved Hashem. He's not serving Hashem. He's an Eved Hashem. He's a servant of Hashem. He's reached that title. So too, the tzaddik has already effected and completely accomplished his service of waging war with the evil within him. He has banished it, and it is gone from him, leaving the seed of evil nature in his heart void within him. I want to remind everyone also, something that Miriam reminded me when I was having a difficult time with like this, accepting and being okay with the role of Beinoni, and like having to do battle with the Yetzer Hara in my life, and not being perfect, right? Not being a tzaddik yet. And she was saying how, Hashem's, and this is a widespread teaching, but it's really good to just hear it again, is that the service that each person gives, each neshama gives, is different. So depending on what we need in the world, what Hashem knows that we need in order to bring Mashiach, in order to Tzedaka in the world, then he has the certain exact neshamas that he needs in order to achieve that. So he doesn't need sweetness all the time. There's a type of service that's as if as if a person is enjoying a donut, a sweet delicacy, or like a cake, or something beautifully sweet, right? That's beautiful, but you can't have that all the time, and you can't have too much of it. It's just not pleasant after a time. Then there's another service that's more like spicy food, and it's wonderful to have spicy food, and for those who can stand it, and it adds an extra kick, and that's something really adds a lot of kochot, a lot of robustness, vibrancy, and it's something really that Hashem derives pleasure from, that a person whose service is like the spicy food. And then there's other types of flavors, other types of foods from other types of neshamas. And the thing is, for a tzaddik gives sweet service. There's no evil within it. There's no touch of attraction for evil. So their service is very sweet. It's very, very beautiful, very sweet. With someone who has like a Beinoni, someone who's struggling, doing battle against the Yetzer Hara, that service is something that gives a zinger. It's something of vibrancy. It's something that's real, and strong and passionate. And that's something that Hashem loves. And so from a person, Hashem might not want a person to move to sweetness yet in terms of their avodah. He doesn't want another tzaddik necessarily. He wants you as you are. He wants this Beinoni to be doing battle, to be falling, but to be getting back up again, and to be working on bringing more positivity and working on elevating themselves, right? And each time that they do that, it makes it even bigger and even better. And I think that's really beautiful. So having completed this task, the tzaddik has earned the title of servant of Hashem. We now see that the expressions of a righteous man, I'm repeating what I said before, no worries. So the expressions a righteous man and the expression he who serves God, they're not the same. He who serves God is not a description of a tzaddik, it's a description of Beinoni. Now the Alter Rebbe goes on to discuss the difference between he who serves Hashem and he who serves him not, who, as the Talmud declares, he who serves him not is not a wicked person. Even though on first approach, that's what it would seem. So in the category of Beinoni, there are also two levels, he who serves God and he who serves him not. Yet he who serves him not is not wicked, although he does not wage war with his evil nature. For never in his life has he committed even a minor transgression in the realm of negative commandments. He has also fulfilled all the positive commandments which he was able to fulfill, including the precept of Torah study, which is equal to all the other commandments combined, to the extent that his mouth never ceased from study, despite the difficulty involved in this task. Yet he is still described as one who does not serve God. For he does not wage any battle against his evil inclination to vanquish it through the aid of the divine light that illuminates the godly soul, abiding in the brain, which rules over the heart, as was explained above, that the godly soul and the divine light illuminating it are the Beinoni's answer to his evil inclination. He who serves him not does not struggle with it, for his evil inclination does not oppose him at all in an attempt to deter him from his Torah study and from his divine service, and thus he doesn't need to wage a war against it. So it is, for example, with one who is by nature an assiduous student due to his stolid temperament, and who is also free of conflict with sexual desire due to his frigid nature. And similarly, with other mundane pleasures, he need not exert himself to master a desire for them, for he naturally lacks any feeling for enjoyment. For this reason, he does not need to contemplate so much on the greatness of God in order to consciously create a spirit of knowledge and fear of God in his mind, which would guard himself from transgressing any prohibitive commandment. He also doesn't need to create a love of God in his heart, which would motivate him to bind himself to God through fulfilling the positive commandments and through Torah study, which equal all the other commandments together. The hidden love of God, which is found in the heart of all Jews who are called the lovers of his name, is sufficient for this person in order to motivate him to fulfilling the commandments, since he is naturally so inclined. For a Jew who must engage in battle with his evil inclination, the love hidden in his heart is not enough. He must arouse it to an active, conscious state. But for the person who is free of conflict with evil, this hidden love, together with his naturally favorable character traits, is sufficient. Isn't that amazing? For this reason, he is not considered one who is serving God at all. For this latent love is not of his making or achievements by any means. It is our inheritance bequeathed by our patriarchs to the entire Jewish nation, as will be explained further. With this, the Alter Rebbe concluded the thought that within the level of Beinoni, there are two subcategories, he who serves God and he who serves him not. He now goes on to say that even one who is not naturally endowed with traits favorable to God's service may yet come under the category of he who serves him not. So just a quick recap, but this is so beautiful. So much of this like really resonated with me. But basically, again, what allows a person to be defined as someone who's serving Hashem? It's someone who has to do battle with their own natural impulse. If they're not doing battle with their own natural impulse, then they're not in active service of Hashem. So they're not called an Oved Hashem, right? So within even the level of Beinoni, not just tzaddik versus Beinoni, but now going into Beinoni itself, there can be Beinoni who is considered one who serves Hashem, and there can be a Beinoni who is considered that he doesn't serve Hashem, right? And what's the difference? The difference is the Beinoni who doesn't serve Hashem, he's known as that, even though he's such a good guy. On the outside, wow, perfect. Like he looks like a tzaddik. Everything points that he's a tzaddik. On the outside, his midot are so refined. His conduct is so beautiful. He keeps all the mitzvahs, Torah and mitzvahs. He's learning Torah. He's sharing Torah, etc., etc., etc. Amazing. But he's not considered one who is serving Hashem, right? Because he's not doing battle with his evil inclination, because it's easy for him to do that, so to speak, easy. He has good midot naturally. He was born with good midot. He has refined midot all throughout life, whatever it is. Inclination trying to pull him not to daven. It's trying to pull him to lose his cool with a person or whatever it is. For all these mitzvahs, he doesn't have the evil inclination pulling him in the direction for, what someone would assume is a natural temperament, right? Doesn't have that. And so he's not actively serving Hashem. He's doing amazing, beautiful things. He's still a Beinoni, but he's not considered someone who's serving Hashem. So, and I think another beautiful point is that, as explained above, first I want to say, in light of that, what we just said, that even within Beinoni, there are different categories, and that's all based within the heart. It's not based on something outside. So only, again, there's a beautiful verse from Tehillim or somewhere, I don't remember, where Hashem says, like, where it's I think maybe David HaMelech says, only Hashem knows the heart within every man. Only Hashem knows what lies within your heart, what lies within your mind. No one else can know. No one else can judge you. And you cannot judge anybody else. chas v'shalom, our ego will step in and make us think we can, but we so cannot, because only Hashem can know what's in the heart and the mind of somebody. So right here, we're seeing how important that is, because the whole point of avodah, the whole description of avodah, or definition of avodas Hashem, is one who does battle with their own evil inclination. Wow, that just made me think of something. A lot of the time, it's incredibly easy to fall to low self-esteem when we judge ourselves, when we see, wow, why am I thinking such a thought? How can I think like this? This is so not safe. This is so not acceptable in the world. This is so not the standard that I expect around my friends or my family. How can I be thinking in this way? How can I be acting in such a way? How can I be speaking such evil? And then it can cause a person to, if they don't know this Torah, if they don't know that there's a part of them that is meant to be like this, that they're meant to be waging war, they have a divine soul and an animal soul who are both alive and awake and fighting for dominance. If they're not aware, it's so easy to start thinking, wow, if I'm thinking this way, this is who I am. I and if it's not according to your standards, then you can start separating from your own self. And I've experienced that. So I can say that it's really a painful and difficult place to be. And it really doesn't help in avodas Hashem, because the whole point of avodas Hashem is you're not perfect. You have these faults. And yes, they're not meeting your expectations, because your expectations, your standards are holy, are dignified, are refined, are kedusha. But you should never forget, first of all, this is what will define you as someone who is serving Hashem and Oved Hashem. And this is your service. But also what's helped me really is, seeing myself fall to the same thing again and again and again. It's so disheartening, but it's so helpful to remember Hashem's not judging me. Hashem created me exactly how I am, for a purpose, for a reason, for an avodah. I can do that avodah now. And I have to remember always, if I want to move forward, I have to build on my self-esteem. So important. So how do I build on my self-esteem? When I remember and I realize, wow, there's a part within me, even if I don't feel it, even if I don't want to, like, it's so far away from where I am right now, so separated from me, that I don't resonate with it at all. I don't identify myself with this good side of me. I only identify myself with this evil, with this dark part, right? And these dark motivations and thoughts and emotions and feelings and actions and speech, right? But no, deep within me, there is a neshama that's crying for a space, that's crying to be, aroused, to be strengthened, to overcome this evil. That's my true self. And if I know that there's a little spark there, then it's enough. It ignites even just for a millisecond. And in that millisecond, I can do teshuvah and I can say, Hashem, this is not who I am. This is not how I want to be. Help me to overcome. And it's through this teshuvah, through this davening, through this meditative davening, where you can imagine this. It's so powerful. I'm telling you, it's so powerful. It doesn't stop you from falling. You'll fall and you'll fall again and again and again, but you'll find that each fall becomes less intense. Each fall reminds you how much you're not this. Each fall will remind you how much you're actually this neshama. And this type of learning, where we're really getting that information, again, here, it's teaching us a Beinoni. You have to know, in order to wage battle against the evil inclination, you need the divine assistance. You need the divine light. How do you get that? Through your davening, your talking to Hashem in a meditative way, bringing in your Torah learning, the Torah that you've learned, even if it's one single line that you can think of that. Imagine that. What does it do for you in that moment? And And like what we said right now, it's Tanya, that's Torah teaching, that's divine light. Hashem's consuming your brain in that moment, and giving your godly soul more power. It needs that power, and you have the ability to give it. And through the godly soul getting more power, right, with the work you're doing in your brain, it will be able to rule over the heart as well. And you'll see through this sort of work, it'll become easier and easier and easier. Miriam talks about getting like less and less sinning and more having self-mastery. This is what it means, that less and less your Yetzer Hara will win, and more your divine soul will have dominance, and will be your identifying factor. You will identify with your godly soul more, right? I think we'll leave it there. It's very powerful stuff. Wow, that we're learning. What an actual gift Hashem is giving us. Yeah, we'll pick up later. So I want to invite everyone now to close your eyes, just get comfortable, and invite your body to relax, to exhale and let go of any tension that it's holding on to anywhere. And invite your mind to do the same. Your mind, all the thoughts or memories that it's been facing today, all the tension that may exist there, just invite it to let go. All the tension. And let's do the same with your heart, this feeling heart, this passionate heart. Whatever memories, whatever emotions have lingered from your day or week, just invite it to dissipate and to let go of it. And gently breathing in with this beautiful image in your mind that you're inviting Hashem, divine illumination, to come and enter into your brain. And you're watching it. What does it look like to you? What does it feel like to you? Maybe it's this beautiful white glowing light that's diving into your mind, filling it up, diving down through your face, through your neck, finding its way into your heart. It's part of your heart. And you can imagine that it's connecting with the godly soul. Hashem's divine light and information is connecting with your divine soul. It's giving your soul this power to be dominant over the animal soul. And imagine that light finding its way overfilling into the other ventricle of the heart, where the animal soul resides. And watch where this animal soul resides. Maybe it's a dark a dark cavern. And you can imagine as this beautiful glowing light enters through this divine holiness, strengthening the godly soul, and all of this light is flowing into this cavern, and you can see organically it's becoming light filled also. That all the darkness is just doesn't exist. Not here, not now, not in this moment. It's all goodness, it's all positivity, and you can feel these positive emotions, joy, happiness, lightness, rejuvenation, vibrancy, healthiness, robustness, kindness. Oh, an amazing, overwhelming feeling of kindness, encouragement, warmth. And you really just feel that taking over your heart. All of this beautiful emotion. And as it dominates your heart, you can feel that your small city, your body, is getting dominated also. And these emotions are pervading through all of your limbs. And you can watch this glow move and spread through your chest, through to your arms, all the way down to each fingernail, really providing it with this healthy sustenance, spiritual light. You can see it flowing down your torso. Imagine it engaging with all of your organs, with all of your muscle fibers, spreading through your blood vessels. Just watch as your whole body lights up with these beautiful emotions, holy, united emotions with Hashem. And watch as it flows down even further, down to your pelvis, your pelvic floor. And just really feel yourself completely pervaded with this beautiful essence. Your godly soul is dominant and taking over your entire city. And feel this beautiful joy as it enters through to your legs, down your knees, all the way to past your ankles, through to the tips of your toes, your fingernails, all through your feet. You just feel that you're so encompassed by the dominance of your godly soul, which is united at this moment with God, this divine holy light. And you feel this and you imagine this. What does it look like? What does it feel like for you right now? And you really take calm, take peace in knowing that Hashem knows everything. Hashem knows you inside and out. Hashem knows what you've done today, what you've thought, what you've felt, what you've said. Hashem knows it all, and He doesn't mind. You're good enough for Him, even as you are. You're still important for Him. You're still His chosen daughter. You're still Bas HaMelech. And nothing can change that. And you feel this recognition, of emes. You feel it like a hug, an embrace. That Hashem is giving you an embrace so strong, so penetrating, so supportive that you feel yourself let go. You're able to cry. You can cry because you've been holding on so long. You've been so disappointed in yourself, not being that perfect Eved of Hashem. And you can feel Hashem's consoling, comforting presence. He's so proud of you. He's so proud that you are not giving up, that you desire Him, even in a world where He's so concealed, that you remember Him. He sees the good in you, and He helps you to see it too, and to feel it. and just feel yourself smiling like you're waking up from a dream, fully supported. You're bigger, much bigger than you were before. You're stronger. All of your soul capacities have been ignited, have been put aflame, aroused with a passion, the full passion of your heart, with this beautiful self-encouragement that Hashem has given to you. See yourself smile and radiating this presence, radiating this goodness out of you, out towards all the others around you. How can you be a superconductor for Hashem's light? All of this that you've received from Hashem, how can you give that to someone else as well? And through your giving, through your sharing, just by being you, just by sharing Torah, just by sharing unconditional love and appreciation of each Jew, that you feel even more coming down your way, even more Torah, even more light, even more divine illumination. And you just see this superpower conducting all of this electricity, this beautiful glow that's rushing out to all these people in front of you. And it's getting stronger and stronger the more you give it. You just feel so ecstatic. Now, with a prayer to Hashem, Hashem, please help us. Allow this image, help us to keep this image ingrained in our minds and our hearts, so that it'll be easier and easier to act in this way, to remember these teachings, your Torah, to be consumed by your Torah, by your presence, and to be a superconductor of all of your light, as an Oved Hashem, one who serves Hashem. May we have the merit and zchus to serve you more and more. With that, I invite everyone to open your eyes when you're ready. Keep breathing in this power. Keep breathing out this power, sharing it with others. And as you get back, I will remind everyone to please consider giving a donation to Save A Neshama Endowment. All the details are in the description box. It'll be a great help. Thank you for joining us again, and Chanukah Sameach. Hope to see you next week.